couple months ago, I was doing some record shopping. I was on a bit of a hunt for a couple different bands, but Aerosmith in particular. At that time, this is what I came up with. Which interesting. This is Aerosmith's fifth studio album. It's called Draw the Line. I thought it was an interesting bit of marketing that nowhere on this album, either on the front or the back, does it say Aerosmith, nor does it have the title of the album. Draw the Line is the title track, the best song on the album, in my opinion. I think if you did some research, I mean, this definitely is not their most critically acclaimed album, but I enjoy it. I think what Aerosmith did in the 70s was really cool. But they did a thing where, in a lot of it's obviously in music to this day, but to me, it's kind of the quintessential rock thing, hard rock thing, where you mix the major and minor pentatonic, specifically the major third and the minor third. So that was kind of what I was going for with that track that I opened with, was like trying to be influenced by Aerosmith. I've been listening to that album quite a bit last week. So the whole thing was to have a riff that had the major third and the minor third in it, which is it's a somewhat cliche thing at this point, but it sounds really cool. So the other thing on that riff, and obviously Aerosmith had two guitar players in it, and oftentimes they would play the same thing. But I called that track Same Thing, Different Place. Basically what I'm alluding to there is you don't necessarily, I don't think you always have to come up with a second part per se, but it's very effective to kind of thicken the sound if there's a second guitar playing the same thing in a different place. So that's what I did throughout the track. Play the same riff in a different place. And then when I went to kind of that solo section, I actually played the same riff leading into it, but just harmonizing instead of playing exactly the same notes. So that was the idea there. So same thing, different place. What I'm talking about there is playing that main riff. Anything that's riffy sounding, which I would say a riff is more like, in this case, I was playing more single notey kind of stuff. Then I was kind of playing and like intermittently I'd go to the 4 and play like different versions of a D chord. But basically, and I would say this riff is mostly minor pentatonic, but it does have some notes in it, obviously, that aren't in minor pentatonic. Like I have a B note. I'm starting on B, but I'm immediately bending up to C. So it's like this. And here, there's that minor third to major third thing. So I'll play it up here. And simultaneously on the second guitar, I'm playing it up at the top of the neck. That chromatic thing, I'm going for the dominant 7, which is a G note, and going back up to A. So obviously you can play that a bunch of different places on the neck, which is another thing I was doing. And then on the second guitar, every once in a while I would harmonize. I'd go up a major third, and instead of playing G to A, I would play B, which is the major third of G, up to C sharp, which is the major third of A. That is what I was doing throughout the song, was just mixing that stuff. And then the other riff I went into was, or the riffy sounding thing I went into was, so I'm hitting an A chord, obviously, and then I'm going E, G, G sharp. So the G to G sharp, that's like a major third and a minor third of E. And then hitting a C, which is the minor third of A. Once again, I was playing that in 2 places, so I was hitting this 2A, so I'm hitting A on the A string and also hitting an A octave on the D string at the 7th fret. And then I'm hitting E and doing that chromatic thing of G, or G up to A and hitting the C there. So once again, same riff, 2 different places. Same thing, different places. And just the final note I had on all this was I tried a different production thing with this. Each of the riffs I played twice, and what I would do, I use the same settings on I used my Fender Deluxe Reverb. I had it in the normal channel, number 1 input, volume on 8, just over, cracked barely over 8, treble on 8, bass on 4. But what I was doing is sending that to the aux box, and I would hard pan either to the left or the right. But I would play the same, so say I was playing this riff, I would play that twice. I'd hard pan 1 to the right, 1 to the left. And then I also had a little reverb on it, which if it was panned to the left, I'd have the reverb hard pan to the right. And if I had the guitar signal panned to the right, I'd have the reverb hard pan to the left. But typically what I do is I double the tracks quite a bit just because it sounds cool. It kind of gives a natural chorusing effect, because you're not going to, hopefully rhythmically you're playing everything at the same time, but you're going to hit the strings with different intensity sometimes, and it adds a nice stereo effect and also a little bit of a chorusing effect, because you're not going to hit everything exactly the same every time you play it. But yeah, typically I do that a lot, but I'll use different guitars and different amp settings, and I'll hard pan 1 to the left, 1 to the right. But I was watching, I got this idea from watching Justin Ostrander the other day, and he was talking about how he'll do stereo tracks where he'll play everything's exactly the same, all the same settings on the left and right, and it's a cool sound. So take that for what it's worth. But those are my notes on what I've presented in that opening track. Thanks.